we have to do the problem statement for the Acme quarry problem. There's a quarry, and we have trucks coming from two different entities. The first entity is the Acme Rock Company, which is a for-profit company, and then we have another one that is the town. We charge them $500 per ton, no matter whenever they get any of the granite, and then we charge a 10% surcharge to the Acme company for the wear and tear on the roads. We don't do it to the town. So, as you can see, that they want to know this information right here. So that's our output. So we're going to go ahead and copy that. Come down here into our output and paste it in. Alright, so we know we wanted that out. The next thing we want to do before we mess with this at all is to figure out what our constants are. And we can see that we have a 10% surcharge, and we charge them $500, wherever that is on here, $500 per ton. Those are our two numbers that we need to put into our assumptions. So I'm going to go and say rate per ton, and that's going to be equal to 500. And then the surcharge rate, and that's going to be equal to 10%, and we do that with 0.10. So that's the only numbers that we have. So now we're ready to go down and take care of our output. So we're going to have to create places in memory from all of these. So the total number of loads. So all day long, trucks are coming, they're getting weighed, and we're charging them. So that's going to require a loop because we don't know how many loads are coming in or how many trucks will be coming by. So the number of loads is going to have to be a counter. So I don't want to just call this num loads. I want to call this something else. So I'm going to call this loads count. And that's going to count the number of loads that we have. The next thing is the total weight of the Acme Rock Company. So every time an Acme Rock Company truck comes in, we're going to figure out how much rock it has on it, and then we're going to accumulate that value all day long. So that has to be an accumulator. So instead of calling it total weight by Acme, we're going to have to change that because we want to have the suffix of accum. So let's call this Acme Rock Accum. All right. And we also have our town. So that is going to be town accum. We could have put accum weight on there or Acme weight accum, but I don't want to make it too big for our flow chart. Okay, the next thing is the total collected from Acme. So that's how much money they've collected. That's not going to be an accumulator because we're not going to try to calculate the money every time they have a truck come through. We're going to do that at the end of the day. So this is not an accumulator. It's just simply math. So let's call this, and notice it doesn't have the surcharge on there. So let's call this total money Acme. And then for the town, we'll do this, call it something similar. It'll be total money town. So one of the things that you're going to have to determine when, particularly when working with loops, is what's an accumulator, what's a counter, and what's regular math. And in this case, we only have two accumulators because all we need to know in the loop is how much rock they're moving. And then at the end of the day, we can do all this other math. And that's what lets you know how to do that. So the next thing we have is our total surcharge. So let's go ahead and total surcharge. We don't need the collected. And the last thing is going to be our total money. Whoops. There we go. And we don't need to collect it all day. All right, so now we have our constants, and then we have these right here. Every one of these is going to deal with some sort of math, counters, accumulators, and money. So I'm just going to simply copy these, paste them up into our calculation section, and then add a space equals space. Oops, that's a plus. Equals space. And then again, just go ahead and Control-C, copy it, and then Control-V, paste it so that I have equal signs in each one. And we always start with the bottom math, because the bottom math is the easiest, because it always uses something above it. So if I know how much money we're taking in from the Acme, and how much money we're taking in from the town, and how much surcharge was done, well then that's going to give me those three values. So I just add them together, and it gives me my total money. So I'm going to just go ahead and Control-C, Control-V, space, plus, and then total money, Control-C, Control-V. Again, we want to use our friends copy and paste, because if any of these are misspelled, and you can see I have a capital T here, so I really didn't want to do that. So let's do a small t, small t, small t, small t. Then watch out down here, because we do the same thing. Small t, small t, small t. Good thing I caught that. And it really wouldn't make a difference. It's just when we do our camel, we always use all lowercase except the second word and third word. So the last one is going to be the surcharge. So I'm going to Control-C, Control-V, and now we have the math that we have for the total money. So then we move up to our surcharge. And the surcharge is based only on the Acme Rock Company, and it's 10% of the money, an addition of 10% on what they've collected all day. So if I know how much money they've collected, then I just multiply it by 0.10, and that's going to give me my surcharge. So again, I'm going to go ahead and Control-C, Control-V, and then I'm going to multiply that by the surcharge rate, Control-C, Control-V. Okay, that's done. How much money have we brought in from the town? Well, if I know how much rock they have moved, and I know that it's $500 per ton, or this is going to tell me how many tons, then I simply multiply them together. So the money for town is simply going to be the town accume, that's how many tons. I could have said ton accume, I guess. Control-V, and I'm going to multiply that by the rate per ton. Okay, and then money for Acme is going to be the same thing. It's going to be how much rock, Control-C, Control-V, and we're going to multiply that by the rate per ton. We made this a little easier. You didn't have to have a different rate for each one. So town accume, now we have two counter and two accumulators, and that is the easiest math. It's always whatever accume equals whatever accume plus whatever you're accumulating, and the counter is always whatever you're counting equals whatever you're counting plus 1. So this one is going to be town accume, Control-C, Control-V, plus, and what are we counting? We're counting the number of tons. So num tons. So if it's 1 ton the first time, and then it comes in a second time, it's 1 ton plus 1 ton. Now it's 2 tons. So the thing is, I haven't described num tons yet, and that is going to have to be an input. So I'm going to Control-C, Control-V. We don't try to guess what our input is. Our calculations let us know what we need to be counting. So the Acme Rock Accume is going to be the same formula, except using Acme Rock Accume. So Control-C, Control-V, and then simply add again the number of tons. Control-C, Control-V. And then, again, this is going to be even easier than that, because this is simply just going to add 1 to that. So Control-C, Control-V, plus 1. All right, so then we have that. So what don't we know? Well, we don't want to have this math being done every time a truck comes by. We only want to have this math when it's a Acme truck and this one when they're doing a town truck. So we're going to have to make a decision. So after we count the load, because it doesn't matter what kind of company it is, the loads are all counted. We're going to say that if load vendor equals acme, then we're going to do this accumulator. If it's not acme, then we say else, and we do the town accumulator. The money all is done outside of that. So all we needed to have was this right here. And now the last thing we have to do is we can see that we have this load vendor. That has to be an input. So I'm going to go ahead and Control C, Control V, and I don't want to do that. I want to put in parentheses here for town what my options are going to be for my user. So I can make sure that this acme and this acme here, what they type in, is going to be town. We're not going to be doing any error checking on this one because we don't error check booleans, and that's not true in the real world, but in this class I don't require you to do error checking on booleans. Only when we have if, else if, then I want you to do it. So you don't have to worry about this. The next problem in the next week is going to require you to do that. So this one I just want to make sure that you can do a loop. Okay, so that's my problem statement. And we are, one last thing. So I have my other assumptions. And another assumption might be only two vendors. So we only have town and that. Only 1 day. So if they want an average for the week, we have to change this. And rate charged never changes. All right, so it's always going to be a $500. So that's a good one. All right, let's go ahead and go on to our next step, which is going to be flow charting.